So where the front and the back are the same, and then we're going to put walls in between. So each of them have walls in between, whatever it is. And you get to decide kind of where you spend your time. And we talked about this the other day. The 3 places you can spend your time are quantity, quality, and creativity. So quantity just means multiples. Quality does not mean that you can do trash work and focus on the other stuff. It means that some types of work are really detailed. And if you want to spend a lot of detailed time on one piece, you certainly can. And then, so quantity, quality, and creativity. So creativity can mean you're pushing your limits. So something like this, the building is not that complex, but the surface is pretty creative, or it's pretty detailed, okay? I wouldn't call it a quality surface as in it's not super tight and clean, but there's a lot going on there, okay? And both sides have some stuff going on. And you, again, get to decide where you spend your time. This is a teapot. We're gonna make these. I mean, we could make these. And it's the front and the back are the same, and then we put walls on them. So, again, any shape you can think of, you could probably do. All right, yesterday we did 3. So we started with this one, little penguin. Okay, pretty adorable, right? And then I just decided to put just some basic textures on the back. There's a little tiny hole in the bottom. I haven't decided yet if it's gonna be like a little penguin bank, or if it's just gonna be just a cute little object that sits up on your shelf. Now, it's not that complex, so it's put together well. There's some things I need to do to finish it up. I'm gonna paint it black and white. So I would need to make multiples, because this is gonna take you a day and a half, 2 days maybe, because it's pretty simple. So if you were to do this, you have 7 days, you'd turn in 3, maybe 4 of these types of things, okay? Started to make a Christmas tree teapot. So, yes?
Do you make multiples? Do they all get fired, or do you like
That will be up to you in the end. You're going to fire but you can fire them all. It's a whole project.
Okay.
So if you make 4 of these, and you want 4 of these, then I would allow you to fire 4 of them. But if you're like, no, 3 of them look good, 1 of them doesn't, then that would be fine too. Or 2 or whatever. Okay, so we'll come back to that. And a star, and this one's starting to get cleaned up. In the building process, so you see the front and the back are the same, and then we put walls on all the sides to put those together. This one shows it really well. See how those walls are in there? And when we build them, we do our front and our back, and we build them just like this. We don't build them standing up. And the reason for that is, I'm gonna build it, put my wall on there, and then this will sit on top. See how that's sitting on top? If I do it another way, where, if it's sitting on top, I'll be able to set something on top. If you build it, and this is my front, and I put it on the side like this, when I go to put something on top, it's gonna be here, and there's nothing there to hold it. Okay? Okay, I'll explain that as we move on. All right, so I'm gonna throw out a slab. Let's pick what we're gonna do. I kind of want to do this, a shaped vase, but we could do, we have a ghost. Is it a cool ghost though?
What?
Are you a cool ghost?
I ruined it. Let me try that again. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Where's all your comments?
You said ah, not ooh or boo. What did ghost say? Boo?
I'll come back.
All right.
Disappointing entrance.
It's that.
White roses on that thing.
It's that rug. That thing is dangerous.
Yes, it is.
You should be.
I got scared. I was taking a nap. Yeah, me too. It's scary.
You're already taking it out. Okay, we could do like a house. Okay, so between these two, which one do you want to do?
Yes.
The house? Okay, and then if we have time, I'll start to throw together one of these. So you're going to take your sketch, your printout. These are just printouts. You're going to throw out some slabs. And you need enough clay to do a front and a back and walls. So for most of you,
You're not gonna throw it all out.
I would. Anyone have a wire tool? I would. But there might be some things that you adjust. It just depends on your project. But yeah, that's a decent amount of clay. It'll be okay. All right, set that aside and throw that out. Now, thickness. You could go a tiny bit thicker than we've done for, say, the plates, but not much. You don't want it to be really thick. So 3/8 of an inch, or like one and a half of these wood sticks, something like that, would be okay. A lot of it depends on what you're doing. So some of the options we have, we can make inanimate objects, so just objects that just sit there and look cool, or hopefully look cool, okay? You could make a teapot. It's also just gonna sit there and look cool. It's not gonna function. This clay can't go on your stove and have a burner under it. It just won't work. You could put milk in it, make a little ewer or a pour. You can, we're doing the house. And then I had my pencil. Did you steal my pencil?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, some people. And then you could make a vase. So it could be open. This is a pretty big one. But it could be open. So a shaped vase. You can make a piggy bank or something of that nature. So I'm not going to do the trees. If you wanted to make the house and then make trees that go with it, that could be part of your project, right? So I'm going to just start with the house. And any information that you want transferred, you should do it now. So if I want the door on there, I'll come in there and outline that. You get to decide, again, where you're going to spend your time and what surface techniques you're going to use. So what surface techniques do you know, or have you learned or sort of learned? Graffito. What else?
Underglaze.
Underglaze, and what kind of things did we do with underglaze? I mean, the first one was just painting it, right? But we also did masking and stencils. What other types of surface techniques did we learn? Additive, which could also be sculpted. What else?
Impression?
Yeah, so textures, we impress textures. And again, textures are probably the easiest, impressing them of anything, and the quickest. So I think I got everything I need. Yep, so I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna take my needle tool, I'm going to cut this out, and I'm just going to cut out the outline. If I have doors and I want those doors open, I'm going to wait till my piece is leather hard to cut those out, because you want to have as much supporting clay as possible right now. Did we hit all of the surface techniques? And you get to decide which ones you use. I'm gonna just make that a square. Now, when doing a house, this top triangle part, some people will cut a square and then put a triangle on it. But because the whole thing is one shape, and it's going to be the front and the back, you're going to cut it as one piece, okay? So the whole thing goes up. If you want it to look divided, you're going to come in and carve that or paint that or do something like that. But you're not going to do this. You're not going to cut a box and then a triangle and put it on top, like that. And the reason for that is we're going to run walls up the whole thing so it's nice and strong. If you make this and then put this, a lot of people will have cracking issues. Okay? Sort of get there. Now, just for time's sake, let's put some texture on the back. But yours can have, it can be the house again. You can do a different, so the front of the house, you could do a back of the house. You're completely in charge of that. But just for you, if this is the front and there's texture on there, right? We have the lines. When I go to cut this out, I have to put the texture to the texture, so they have to face each other. That way, when I pull it back out, the textures will be both facing outwards. So they're both facing in, but when I'm done, I'll flip them around and they'll both facing outwards. Because my house is not symmetrical, okay, you have to do it this way. And I like to use the piece I just cut as my template. I don't like to trace it again. Some people might do that, but I'm just going to come in here. And one of the reasons for this is this will allow both pieces to be really, really close to the same shape. Now, one requirement, and I don't remember if I talked about this the other day, is you have to have angle changes or transitions or movement. You can't just make a box, okay? So this is going to go up and then it transitions this way, so there's an angle change. You have to have pieces that move. There's a couple of pieces on there as it wraps around. This star has a lot. That's a piece, that's a piece, that's a piece. Every time it moves, that's another piece I cut to go there. So geometric shapes are going to be a little bit more. We decided that this didn't have to have an angle change. There's a little bit down here because we were working on the spout. We're going to work on a handle, so we're doing some other things to it. Okay, so I have this. So this is how I cut it out. Textures together. That way, when I flip them both around, I'll have textures. I'll line that up better. On the outside there and the outside there. See how that works? All right, set those aside for a second. And we're going to cut them. Now, this is 1 board thick. This is 2 boards thick. And I wouldn't go more than 2 boards. You can, but when we start to build and the clay is sticking up like this, the taller it is, the harder it is to get it to stay. So 2 boards is good, 1 board is good. It depends on what you're doing. If you're just doing a decoration, 1 thickness is great. if you're doing something like a teapot, or maybe we're gonna make that again into a penguin bank, you want it a little thicker so it has a little bit more volume in it, right?
Right.
Okay, and we're gonna do this just by lining that up and cutting it. Now, the most important thing here is that the wall height, so this point to that point and that point to that point are the same. So whatever they are, 2 inches, okay? And you don't just arbitrarily make a mark. You either measure it or you use something to create that line. Because if you have something that goes from 2 inches to 1.5 inches, you're gonna have something that tapers, and it's probably not what you want. All right, so I have 2 wall sections. That should be enough for what I'm doing. I also need a bottom. So I'm gonna cut out that section there and stick it there. And the rest of this clay gets wedged up and put back in a bag. Now, as you're working, some of your work will be trial and error. So if there's a day where you're making stuff and it's not looking right, it's falling apart, it's slumping, whatever, okay? Kind of like with our mugs. Anyone struggle on the first day? Just throw it away and start fresh on the second? I know some of you did, and that's okay. Trial and error is perfectly acceptable. You don't have to be like, I have this finished today, and every day you have something finished, right? We're learning how to make these. When we account for it at the end, just be like, this is what I did first day, second day, third day, that kind of a thing. All right. Put this in here. And please ask questions as we go. So, it doesn't matter which one you build on, front or back. And I'm going to start here. I'm just going to cut these a little bit. I'm going to line that up. And I'm just sitting here thinking something. I could build this roof in a couple of ways. So I could build it so that everything is just framed in, which would be fine. But what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the chimney off, and I'm going to add it later. And that way I'm going to build the walls and build up in here, and then I'm just going to add a roof up at the top, which will overhang. So I'm going to cut off these little extenders. I don't know what they're actually called in construction speak. Anyone know? What? Roof? There's things like dormers, and I don't think those are dormers. Okay, so now it's just this, and I'm going to build up and over, and then I'm going to add a roof to it. Okay, line this up. Every one of your shapes is going to be slightly different, and you're just going to have to kind of work through that. And then ask for help as needed if you're running into a problem. How many days do we have on this project?
7.
7, and it goes from when to when? When we start doing it to when we finish, right? Yeah. Who said that? Should Mom ever call you a smart mouth? She shouldn't. That would be rude. From whenever we start it to whenever we finish it. It's going to start next Thursday for you, and it's going to finish right before Thanksgiving break. Now, as we're doing this, so I'm going to put that on there, measure that one out. Oh, that's a good cut already. I was going to say it's a good cut, except for, see how my wall slopes? It wouldn't, when I put this on there, it would be like tilted. So, I'll cut that again.
Can we just trace your wall?
Trace this wall? I wouldn't, because this wall height may be different than that wall height. So I'm just gonna come here, and one thing I am doing is cutting an angle, just cutting this corner off so that my angle runs up my roof line. You don't have to, clay's pretty forgiving. Does anyone know anyone named Clay? Is your name Clay?
Yes.
Are you lying to me?
Yes, I am.
Why would you lie? Your dad's name's Clay though.
Denton?
Yeah.
No, I'm Denton's kid.
Oh.
Sorry.
Is his name not Denton? Who said that?
I said Denton.
Oh, Clay
I wasn't
Denton.
talking
Hey,
about
thanks.
him.
Who is that?
Teddy.
It's Teddy?
It's Ethan, right?
He's just like, I don't know what I just walked into.
It's just a kid.
Just some kid.
When do you want me to go?
End of class. Does it say anytime?
Yes, it's when convenient.
Nice. Add a little bit of slip there. Okay, do you see how I'm building on top of? So my back is down, textured that way. I'm building on top. Okay, I'm not ready for this, but the reason for that is then this can sit up there. See how that can hold itself? If you build with your walls to the side, this is my wall, and the side, and I showed you this a second ago, when you go to put your front on, you have nothing to hold it. And it'll just cause you some serious heartache and problems. But if you like to take the long way and the hard way, you go right ahead. Okay, I'm gonna add a little coil on the inside. I'm gonna hold on the outside and just press this in. If you're going to close it up, how clean and crisp they are doesn't really matter, just compressed. If it's going to be open like a vase, you should probably really clean up your little coils there. Compress that. Now, did we ever talk about stitching? No? Yes? No? Okay, so scoring is making marks. So we score that, we score this. This isn't like my wall going on. Then we add a little bit of slip, so scoring and slipping. And when we push that on, it'll start to hold, right? So stitching takes it one step further. And I have my bottom piece, and I'm just going to pull from my bottom up and in. And it's like running a thread through it and stitching it together. So it's taking clay that's butted up like this and then stitching it so it's interconnected better. And from there, I'm going to, you can use your fingers. I like to use my wood knife. You're just going to come in here and smooth that. So for those at home. And we compress that. Okay, and now that's really put together well. Chance of that cracking and opening is pretty slim. Okay, so we're going to do that here on both sides. Okay, something you need to pay attention to on those 7 days. We have 2 7-day projects. You need to use all those days. And again, how you use them is up to you. I just want you to work. So the solution is not, I made the project. The end result is I spent 7 days making projects, okay? And you get to decide what that project looks like for you. So if you're just sitting around one day and I go, hey, you need to put clay in your hands, you say, I'm done with my project. No, you're not, right? Make more. do something else. If you don't like the direction you're going, change it. But something you should note, some people like to give some of their projects away as presents. And if you're doing the bowl set, which we're going to demo on Tuesday, or you're doing this and you want to give a little something away to your niece or sister or brother or whatever, if you're going to give them away as Christmas presents or holiday presents, you've got to do it as your first project. Because starting next Thursday, you'll start it, we finish it Thanksgiving, we fire it over Thanksgiving break, you come back and glaze it, a week later you take it home, it's ready for Christmas break. The other project you're working on will be turned in right before Christmas break to be fired the first time and glazed after New Year's. So if you're like, I want to do this as a project or as a present for somebody, whichever you pick, either hand building or wheel throwing, you need to pick the first go around, okay? Okay. All right, so I have this put there. Now, sometimes with clay, this isn't so big, but if you went bigger than this, like this, see how that's sagging? I mean, that's awfully big. But the bigger you go, the wider it is, the more sag there is. So if you have a piece that has sag, so I set it up here, and there's a little bit there, something you can do, take a piece of your wall, and you're not going to score it, and I'm just going to set it in the middle there, and it'll hold it up for a second while I work on scoring and slipping this. So let's do that. A little scoring here, scoring there. Add a little slip. Line that up. Push that together. Less water is better. So like on this star, it was pretty chunky. Still is a little bit chunky. I came in this morning and I started to smooth it out, and I will spend more time smoothing it out, and it's a soft leather hard right now. And then when it becomes a good leather hard, I'll come in with a sponge with just a tiny bit of water, and I'll actually come in and really smooth out all of this stuff. So same thing goes with this. Don't try to smooth it out right now. So it's perfect. Try to get it compressed and cleaned up. So I'm going to stitch this. I'm going to stitch this. Hopefully while I'm doing this, you're getting ideas for what you want to do. Maybe you already have some ideas. I'm going to compress that. When we start on Thursday, this is kind of how it's going to go. Wednesday, maybe Thursday, we will split into groups. And if you're starting on the wheel, you don't have to have your idea for your hand-built project quite yet. But when you do start on your hand-built project, you need to. So right after Thanksgiving, yes?
This is kind of a back ago question. But when you said like you have to change the angles and everything, could you have like, if you're, so you want to build like a hand-built set, could you have one or two of your pieces have those and the other ones be more simplistic?
Yeah, if you have an idea and you present it to me and you're like, this is going to hit the requirements, or this hits half the requirements, this hits half the requirements, and they go together as a grouping, the answer is probably yes. But you're going to present it to me. You're going to be like, this is what I want to accomplish. And I'll be like, sounds great, okay, because you showed me it hits what we're trying to accomplish. So, okay, so I threw out a bottom. I'm going to score the bottom. And I'm going to, because, just going to line that up for a second. Yeah, that's good. I'm just gonna actually score a bunch of this. Everyone's gonna be a little different here. Just score that, add a little bit of slip. So what I was getting at is, if you're gonna start next Thursday on your project and you show up without an idea, I'm not gonna collect your things, but if you show up without an idea and you go, well, I'm gonna brainstorm right now, just plan on not getting participation points for the day, because that's what we're supposed to do before. Next week, you're supposed to come in so I can help you kind of work through the start of your project. So just remember that. If you're on the wheel next week, that's fine, but remember that when you come back from Thanksgiving break, the same thing applies. If you show up without an idea and you're like, I'm gonna brainstorm right now, you're like, fantastic, you just lost participation points for the day because you're not ready. You need to start. So keep that in mind. All right, I'm gonna cut this at just a small angle going in. Small angle going in. Pull that out. Did I talk about that your photos were due last night for the cut cylinders?
I saw that and I turned mine in today.
If you have not turned them in, I haven't graded them yet. Probably after school is when I'll get to them. So get on that. If you, for some reason, haven't done that, my biggest question for you is why? You've had lots of time, if you haven't actually taken the photo. And it's not a, oh, you should feel silly. It's why haven't you asked for help if you haven't been able to accomplish it? That's what I'm more worried about. So think about those things. Now, on this, these little corners are going to be the weakest, where the walls come together. I'm not going to try to get a coil all the way in there, but just on this little corner right here, I'm going to compress that. It's like a weld. Anyone in here weld? I'm learning to weld. I made a sculpture last night. It's pretty cool.
Gymnastics old people class.
That hurts.
Oh.
Yes, in Massic's old people class. So what do we call the young people class?
Kids class.
A normal class?
High school class.
I call it lifelong learner class. All right, front and back, you see how the roof's there? I could have put walls that went up and that would have been the roof. What I want to do though, and this isn't gonna be wide enough, I'm gonna wedge this up, is I want to actually run the roof down so it can hang over the sides just a little bit.
When are our plates gonna be done?
Great question. The elements came in yesterday. They're sitting over there in those boxes. The electrician just needs to come in and put them in the kilns. So whenever he has a minute. Takes him about an hour, hour and a half to do it. So I'm assuming he's gonna show up probably Monday or Tuesday to do that. And then as soon as we do, or as soon as he does, we'll just start loading the kiln full of plates, glaze firing them, and then we'll do the bugs. The good thing is the fire kiln is working for the bisque firing. So if you've turned your mugs in, like you got your mugs out, they're fired. We can start to glaze those anytime we have a minute, as long as it's not while I'm demoing. But like next Thursday would be a good day to glaze your mugs, because we'll talk about your project, you'll kind of get into it a little bit, and then we have the weekend, so you might be like, I don't want to get too far into it, I'm going to paint my mugs, that kind of a thing. Or you can get really into it, and then when you come back the next Monday, go, I'm going to paint my mugs or whatever. Okay. On this, I'm going to measure. I'm just going to come here and give a basic measure. Now, you can butt it up, you can have it go over a little bit. I think we'll have it go over just a little bit. So that wide, needle tool. Watch. Going to line this up because our paper acts as a square, so we can get that nice and straight. If something doesn't end up nice and straight, and you're all done, as long as it's put together well, and you just be like, it's a whimsical house. Think of Dr. Seuss, right? And you'd be like, I meant it to be like that.
So lie to yourself?
I don't care if you lie to yourself. We all lie to ourselves all the time. Who said that? You said that? You not lie to yourself?
What?
I lied to myself and said I wanted to come to work today.
Oh my goodness, I lied to myself and said I wanted to come to school today.
See?
I didn't tell myself I wanted to go.
Your mom did.
Much.
What a great person.
Yeah, this is one of the most boring classes I've ever been in.
Anyone want to guess what that sound is?
Grade. Always a grade.
Jeez, most boring class. If you were paying attention, asking questions, making it personal, maybe it wouldn't be.
I have a question.
What's your favorite color, Mr. Jones?
Khaki. What's your question?
My question?
Yeah.
Is that really your favorite color?
Why are we doing this?
So you can learn how to make them.
I can figure it out.
I'll be nice. I'm just saying a little bit of instruction will help you get there better. You'll get a better result.
Okay, I trust you.
You should. Okay, who asked that question about color? Blue is actually my favorite color.
Which blue?
So you're wearing your two favorite colors right now.
More like an aqua blue, like a
Like the ones
brighter.
that your favorite bases are?
Like the shirt you're wearing?
Yes. No, not like the shit I'm wearing. Like a brighter blue.
The airplanes.
Like this blue?
No, not that bright. Like a blue-green.
Yeah, so the color of your favorite bases.
Yeah,
That's cute.
it is cute. You have no idea how cute it is. So I put that on there, and now I'm going to put the second one on. I don't measure them both at the same time because that one's going to pitch in there. How far it overhangs is up to you. You could have added a texture to this, or you can come in and carve shingles into it, or whatever works for your kind of way of thinking.
Do they come in at an angle in the middle?
Is there an angle?
Yeah, like in the middle, or is it flat?
It's actually flat because it's like this. When the other one sits on top of it, it needs a flat piece. So I don't cut any specific angle. You could cut them both at a 45 or something like that. But usually what I'll do is I'll like put something on there and go, does that look right? And if it doesn't, I can manipulate it right now. So you can try that. Score that, slip that. Oh, we got preschoolers out trick-or-treating.
Wait, they do trick or treat?
Did they?
They do? Do you have treats for
I
them?
don't. They never give me treats.
So?
They'll probably be like, no, you'll scare the kids.
Wait, they give the teachers treats to give the
Some.
The nice ones.
We're just hating on Jones today.
You know what? If it makes you feel good about yourself, you go right ahead. get over this. It's okay.
Oh, weekends, the only 2 days.
It's usually when the weekends are. Although I woke up this morning, I'm going, it's been a long time since I haven't had a 4-day week and a 3-day weekend or more.
It's
Last
been a
week-
long time since you.
Since I haven't.
Oh.
So last week, the week before, I think I took a day off the week before that. You know, it's just like,
What are you doing this
Feels
summer?
nice.
what do I do in the summer?
Yeah.
Anything I want.
A lot of teachers have like summer jobs, I feel like though.
Say that again?
I feel like a lot of teachers have summer jobs.
I don't. I used to.
What do you do? Ride bikes?
So a lot of times I get up in the morning and I ride my bike from like 6 until about 8, 9, 10, depending on how long we go.
Is it an electric
Morning or
bike?
at night?
No, it's a pedal bike. Just a
You pedaled all the way to where last year?
St. George.
Yeah.
No, you
You
did.
missed our
Psycho.
Yeah.
class to
So
drive.
in a
Nice
group.
bike.
So I didn't do it all, but it was I did 100 miles. Although I do have a friend who just a month ago did the whole thing, 422 miles in 24 hours.
Oh,
Like, you just see on the side of the freeways.
No, you go down through like San Pete and down by. It's awesome. And then I
Did you
come
have to ride
home
back?
and then I eat breakfast, maybe take a nap. Look at my wife's list of crap I need to do. Go.
Like,
Maybe tomorrow.
next week.
What's your last summer?
She works in the summer.
Is she a teacher?
She is a dental hygienist. I swear though, my wife takes more vacations than works.
You're never at school either.
Hey, life choices.
Well, I work with
According to Jackson, he doesn't need me here. He just doesn't do it. So
We need someone to unlock the door.
janitors will do that. Okay,
I don't need anyone.
so we have a nice built piece. It is sealed, so it needs to be cut open sometime. Just a little tiny hole is fine. I usually will let mine sit for a little while. If it was today and you're not here till Tuesday, I would probably just put a little hole in it. If you're gonna do a door,
You gotta put the chimney on.
we'll get to that. So if you're gonna do a door, I would put my hole where the door is, you know, because you're gonna cut that out anyways, or a window or something like that, right? Because like that one there, hold that up. It has a little hole where the window is. So there's no hole anywhere else, but that's enough to let the air escape. Okay. On this little penguin, all I did, covered it up, but all I did was poke a little hole with a needle tool, and it's enough to get the air out. Chimney. So what I will do is I will do the texture, and as it gets leather hard, and then I'll put the chimney on there. So I'll build a little chimney. We're gonna build one real quick. It's not what's going on there, but just cutting these at angles. Is this correct, Jackson?
I could care less.
I could tell. Okay, so that's an amazing chimney. Okay, and then I'm gonna line it up. Obviously, we're gonna make that taller because I'm gonna come in here and cut it down.
You put it in the back?
Where does it go?
Wherever the fireplace is.
That chimney's got.
So this is the kitchen. This is the living room. So it goes right here above the living room, right?
Do I have a
I
chimney?
don't think, but you
One
put
of
it
your
in the
kids.
back.
What if it's not?
I've never been up there. I've never been up top of my house. I wonder if I have a chimney.
I used to have a chimney.
Does everybody have a
Jackson's
chimney?
house is just-
No, not everybody has a chimney, but everyone has like airports that your exhaust for air. Your exhaust goes out of, so little tubes that go up.
Oh.
Do you have a fireplace?
Yeah, but it's like flip that switch, just.
Oh, it's natural
Turns on,
gas,
yeah.
yeah. So there's a little metal port out the side of your house probably. So this is gonna sit
You put it on.
like, is that better? Okay, it'll sit like that. Obviously it needs to go higher because we don't want the wind and the smoke to accumulate right there. Chimney should be above the roof pitch so that the wind will actually take it away instead of bring it back down. There's thermodynamics to chimney making. There is. I promise.
How do you know?
I read a book on it once.
You read a book on chimneys?
Gosh. Okay, how much time do we got? All right, let's do another one. Let's set that there. Can you not touch it if I put it there? Or will you just make it better?
I'll just fix it.
Okay. That's a good looking house.
Can't judge art.
Is this what your house looks like?
Can't judge
My
art.
house? No, my house is a little smaller than that. In real life.
I don't think
All right, let's do this.
Is your plate and bowls and stuff surrounded by your house? All of them?
Most of them.
when you get home from school, then you just make more play.
Sometimes.
Do you have one at home, a wheel?
I do. I have a wheel and a small kiln. I have clay.
So sad.
Why is that sad? Okay, let's do this analogy. Baseball player, right? You play baseball. You go home, you watch baseball. You analyze baseball. How's that any different?
Because you just said it's sad. You're just like, yeah, go home. There's a little clay
That's,
and a thing.
let's take a vote. Did it sound sad? Do I sound sad?
No. It sounds like that's your career.
It's my career and my hobby.
Well, it just sounded sad how you said it. You're like, yeah, I just play with clay.
Oh, sorry.
Are your kids like insane?
Yeah, are your kids like the next potheads? Not potheads, but potheads. You know what I mean?
Probably,
You know what I mean?
probably a yes to both.
Do I know what you mean?
Like they just hop on that wheel right there and just one hand record me and Cody and make a huge bass like you did.
Huge bases, probably not, but some of my kids work on the wheel. Some of them hand build. Some of them don't.
Does your daughter?
How many
My
kids
daughter
you
does.
got? It sounds like a lot. Some of my kids do this.
I have 6.
6 kids.
Okay. That's a lot.
He's the daughter that goes
Yeah, his daughter goes here.
She's just
Your daughter goes here?
She's a junior.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know that?
I met
Is she a sophomore, junior, senior?
I just told you.
Junior.
Oh, I've never seen her before.
But you don't
Maybe
know.
I've seen her before.
He probably doesn't want you watching his daughter.
My daughter makes wise choices. At least I hope she makes wise
Did
choices.
you ever talk about me in your
That'd be
house?
funny. What if? What if you had
I have this great
in your
student named
class
Jack.
that was so annoying, and then your daughter brought him home one day?
He probably just kick him out.
I'd be like, ooh, you make poor choices in my daughter.
For your daughter to marry someone, does he have to like get on the wheel and do something cool?
Yeah.
It's like a test.
Will your daughter's fiance have to be a baseball star? And you'll be like, oh, dude, you suck.
Yeah. He didn't pass the athletic test.
Good for her.
You see a dinosaur just walk by?
Yeah, I saw that.
Picture.
Any other weird questions that are irrelevant?
Who's your favorite kid?
Sammy?
The youngest one.
Yeah. I like all my kids equally.
Lies.
They all think they're my favorite.
Well, I was in a
Actually, my 14-year-old would probably be like, I could care less if you like me or not, Dad.
When did she do that?
Actually, she said that, so. That's why she's gonna go to Springville High, honestly. No, I'm not kidding. She's like,
So you're not gonna be able to make it round though, yeah?
no. So these are square.
Are you putting walls on the penguin, or is that like?
The walls are on the penguin.
I know, but do you have to cut out? How do you cut out walls for that if it's like not straight?
So we'll
So it
show you
has
right
to be
here.
square.
No.
Like what if you?
Okay, so if I'm making an actual vase, it's gonna be this shape, but then it's gonna be squared this way. So yes, it has to be squared. What if you want a round one? I'll show you how to do that on the wheel.
Oh, we can't do it for this side.
But not for this project, no. And if you're like, no, that's not what I want to do, pick something else that you do that fits kind of this criteria.
When will we make stuff on a wheel? Do that.
So on Tuesday, I'll demo how to throw bowls, bottles, and vase sets. And we'll trim another demo day. But
But we'll be
then you
assigned-
have basically 14 days of nothing. You just work. Where I'll give you some hints and tips, some little demos, but we'll just kind of go. Remember when we made the mugs and we spent a full day making mugs and we spent a full day learning how to throw on the wheel, right? That sort of thing.
So how like the teapot over there? How do you make it like round and it like supports it while it's wet? You know what I mean?
What teapot?
Like that thing over there. It's over there. It's pink.
This?
Yeah. You
How
see
do
how
I
like
make
it's
it like that?
No, like the bottom of it, the base. You see how it's round right there? How do you make it like that? But while it's wet, it like supports it. So I feel like you're just falling.
We actually did a 15-minute segment on that. You were asleep. So, I'll show you.
I wasn't asleep.
That was the boring part. So, do you see how that is like that? This just bends like that.
I think that's kind of
Clay bends.
Looks like it to me. It's not one of those pencil tricks where like, look, I'm bending my pencil. Who was that?
What?
You ever seen that?
No.
Who was that kid?
You've never seen this
In
where you like
elementary
this,
school.
you're like, whoa.
I'm bending my
It's like-
pencil.
I don't know how to do it. I'm like, no. I'm bending this way.
You go like this, you
Like, it was sliding
Look at that.
Whoa, your pencil bends. Well,
I don't know. I just.
my clay really bent.
I think that's just a trick.
Can we get an ice cream machine here?
Yeah.
Yes, yes we can.
Crazy.
That could be your senior
Ooh, that's a
gift.
good one.
Or we could just do some prank stuff.
Sushi?
Senior prank. Sushi is gross.
Sushi is not
Sushi
gross.
is
Sushi is gross.
Disgusting.
Sushi is so delicious.
If you ate it in Utah,
I'm not big about trying those new foods, you know.
Sushi's new?
No, like just other countries' food, you know. It's like I'm not racist, but I'm just like
I should
you know,
stop
I'll just-
recording.
I'll just stick to my own
I
thing,
was
you
so
know.
recording that. It's so embarrassing.
I don't think anyone can.
Like I like Chinese food.
No
but,
one
like,
watches them
I'm not
anyway.
gonna try like curry. I don't do that.
Oh, I
Like, I'm
love
just gonna
curry.
stick with-
Curry is so yummy.
Like rice.
So curry is a spice, and it's like Indian or Thai cuisine makes curry,
Those beans.
and it's so good.
Wait, you know that one TV show Fixer Upper?
Mm-hmm.
In one of the episodes, they fix their house and then they have like this guy that does custom ceramics, does like custom bowls, and then when they build their house, they like get animals. So just
I think I saw that.
it's so cute, and they're all white.
One day
Are
I'll have
all
a
of your
ceramic
plates and
house.
bowls at your house? Did you make them?
All my what? All my bowls? Yes, most of them.
Does your Wi-Fi go?
Can you have Wi-Fi in the ceramic
Okay, so the question seems to be, how do we bend the clay? So you see how it has the curves? It's a straight up and down piece, but it's just gonna follow that curve, like that. Okay? So it bends, and we're going to put that on, and we'll bend another piece. The other piece comes down here, and will be bent around like that. So that's where you get these side shapes. It's still a straight piece. You don't have to cut it fancy. It's just one straight piece, and then it just wraps around. And then it wraps around that shape. Okay? That making enough sense? All right, let's score this. I'm gonna score the whole thing. I don't like to put the bottom on until I'm pretty much done. Score here, because the bottom helps to tie everything together. Line that up. You see that? Yeah, sort of. And we're going to come over here. Manipulate that there.
You know, when I'm super rich one day, will you design my ceramic house, Dennis?
Your ceramic house or your ceramic dishes?
House.
How about dishes?
House.
He doesn't know how to do it.
For somebody who already told me I was obsolete, you want to trust me to design your house.
What does obsolete mean? It's a big word.
It's a big word.
He doesn't know how to do it.
Not important.
How long would it take?
Not
I never
needed.
said that.
You
I
said,
never said that.
You said, why are we doing this? I could have figured this out on my own. You're not needed. Or
I
you're
never meant that. It
obsolete.
was a joke.
Well, it hurt my feelings.
You got the weekend to figure.
How long would it take to build a house?
Yeah.
Like the life.
A long time, probably.
Like how?
How did
Like
they
longer
get
than it
to-
takes to build a regular house?
I really don't know. Have you seen those 3D concrete printers that print homes? And they're now doing them with like a concrete styrofoam. So it's like really light, but very insulated.
Never seen that.
Was it just?
What was that?
Wait, what? I don't get it.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you've seen 3D printers, right?
Yeah.
So they have these massive ones that print homes. So they print the walls of the home and it just slowly builds them up. Pretty cool. Maybe instead of our demo on the wheel, we'll just watch 3D home printing videos.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Maybe have Jackson teach us.
Or you can just do that on your own time.
Hey.
Instead of watching baseball videos. Gonna put a little bit of clay on the inside.
Is this your least favorite period?
Oh no, no. I love all my students, all my classes.
That's a lie.
It's okay, guys. We can love ourselves on our own. We don't need Jones.
Do you need my love and approval to? I hope so. Make you like, no, this is not a bad class. It's not a great class.
Like
I
the
can
best
take
class.
the other class. and
What's the
then-
best class you've ever had? Like, ever?
Third period. Because they are good.
Yeah, third period's a good class.
Their mugs.
They're attentive. They're not smart mouse.
That'd be boring to teach an attentive class.
I feel like you have way
They'll
more
just sit
fun
like this.
talking back to us.
Come on. He's so boring. And you're just talking and they don't see it. Boring. Not a peep. They're just like. He's so boring. That's why we're the best class.
Wait, but you already said this was the most boring class.
I never said that.
I'm gonna go
I
back and
said-
watch this video. I may be the only one who
Yeah,
watches
you're
it, but I am going to
recording
watch it.
I said this is a boring period that we've had. We've had other better days.
Oh, I believe it. Do you have any questions that relate to ceramics? Anyone?
How do they fire ceramic houses?
How do they?
Yeah.
So,
If you were listening last class, you would have. I actually do know. He told us last class.
so why don't you?
They put this big tent around the house
A
and they
tent.
fire it. It's like a tent. That's what he said.
Oh, we didn't.
I think I called it a scaffold, but yeah, that's close to a tent. But yeah, they did. They built like a big scaffold in and out of it, filled it full of material, probably wood, and fired it, and then kept stoking it.
See?
I was wondering, do they glaze it?
So glaze, actually wood ash is a natural glaze, and so it would be,
Oh, like that one vase you have?
yeah, so I have a, there's a vase right here.
Yeah.
Joe Benyon made this, and this right here is a natural glaze that comes when the wood ash from his firing lands on it. This is a glaze like we do, and then, so you can pass that around, don't break it. That's an $80 picture.
Did you make that? Oh, wait, no, you said Joe
Joe,
Bunny?
Joe Benyon made that from Spring City. Anyone know where Spring City is?
Spring City is.
Anyone know where Fairview is?
Yeah.
So Spring City, you go to Fairview, and instead of going to Manti, there's a road that kicks you in. And Spring City's right there.
If you like legitimately interview.
He interviewed Ted Bundy. That's crazy.
Okay. So we get our basic shape going, right? I haven't stitched it because you know how to do that, but you should do that. And before I score and slip this, I'm going to set it on there and then make sure that it is pretty okay.
Oh, it's cool.
I'm going to have to, if you see these things here, right? These edges, they're a little square. When they become leather hard, I will trim them down to make them round like they're supposed to be. And those are the types of things that you're just going to kind of work through depending on what your project is. And every one of your projects is going to be just slightly different.
Did you have to go to like a ceramics class in college? Or?
Mm-hmm.
How many?
How many did I do? I actually only did one.
No, how many? Like, how long did it take you?
To go to school,
How long does it take to be a ceramics teacher?
4 years.
4 years.
Are you for real?
Oh.
Really?
That's how long it is to get your nursing.
Mm-hmm.
And you make probably more money? No.
I don't feel like I'd be a good nurse.
Could you imagine Jones walking up and be like, I'm your nurse today. I'm gonna inject this needle in you.
And you will like it. Shut up.
I think that'd be scary.
No, you're fine.
Actually, on college, since it was just college week, so I actually have a degree in drawing and painting, with an emphasis in, and then I have a degree in graphic design. So drawing and painting with an emphasis in photography, and then I have a graphic design degree as well.
So you could be any of those teachers.
I could also go back to school and be a firefighter if I wanted to.
You have to go to school to be a firefighter?
Yep.
I didn't know.
What do you think firefighters do? They just grab water and
I don't think you go to college.
I thought you said.
I don't
like,
think you have to go to
Get
college. I
trained.
think you can.
I don't think you just got trained like any
I think
other
there's
job.
like, is there college to be a firefighter? Or is there like
I
a
think
school?
I think so, but I don't think it's like 4 years. I think it's shorter than that. You know who would know those answers? Well, one, Google would, but the counselors downstairs would probably know.
I don't
Yeah, they know everything.
I asked them, they're like, just look online.
Every time I have to ask my counselor questions, she boom, answer out of her mouth right away.
And is it usually like, yeah, I wouldn't apply for that school?
Mine and Jeff's counselor does not know.
Okay, so I have it made. Again, we make it, and then we will come in and clean it up. Don't try to get everything fixed right now. You do want to make sure everything's compressed together. Okay, but if there's some things about it you don't like, wait till it's leather hard. You can come in and you can, set that on the side. You can use different tools, whatever they are. You can come in and clean them up, carve them, shave them. You can use a little bit more water on a sponge to kind of smooth them out. If it's still a decent leather hard, so not really dry, you can still come in and score and slip clay to it, so if you need to patch something or whatever. I'm going to put a bottom on this. So I'm going to score all of that just for ease. Just score the bottom here.
Did you grow up here?
I grew up in Provo. The mean streets of Provo.
Why did you want to do ceramics? Like, did you always want to, or
No.
did you just want to do something else?
No, I wanted to do something in art, and
Like a teacher though?
I didn't think I'd be a teacher.
I'm glad you did. I wish you did.
Yes, class.
Today?
I mean, if he's still here.
Right now?
Not after this
That's a great question. After third period, I'll be like, oh, I love being a teacher. After second period, I'll be like, just kidding.
That hurt my feelings.
Not bad, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you can imagine it being just cleaned up just a little bit more, because we'll come in and clean it up, smooth it out. The thing that I'm most worried about is where the walls come together at those corners. So come in and add just a little bit of a coil there to make sure that those get pushed together. Hopefully I think next class period I'm going to do, put all those. I'll find it. You'll see some more on Tuesday that we've done, kind of like this. This Monday we're doing some today. The other classes will give different options. But get your papers filled out, get your ideas going. There's some instructions on what you need to do. And that way when you show up, you can be like, this is what I want to accomplish, and then we can talk about it. And we can either be like, yeah, that's great, get to it, or I can be like, hey, let's steer you and try to work through this a little bit. It's your project, and I want you to enjoy it, but I also want you to understand that not all things are possible.
That's not a good quote.
At this stage in your ceramic career.
Oh, okay.
So there are things where I'll be like, that's probably way above our technical ability or the time you have or something like that. So, right?
10:50?
Yeah, we have 9 minutes. You do have a long lunch.
We do? So what time is lunch?
Extended lunch, so you have an extra 10 minutes. We have a faculty pizza day or something, I don't know.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
I'm gonna go to Costa Rica.